you've seen this offense now for the last couple of years. You talked about how like there's just something where when I like calm Tennessee fans' nerves about like where the season's going to go and the transition from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton and what Hendon Hooker really meant to this team. And they're just completely different quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker was a machine, an efficient machine, always making the right play. He was willing to take off significantly more than Joe Milton was. And Joe Milton to this point, it's kind of, I mean, he ran out of bounds against Ole Miss. He has some of the stuff where you're just like, I don't know how he's going to react in Gainesville in week 3. That's going to be the big test of where this Tennessee season is going, is what does Joe look like in the swamp when he's the guy. It's his show again. This is it. All the pressure's on him. And now he has a 5-star, just true freshman, the number 1 player in the class behind him. And an easily chantable name, Nico. And you know how Tennessee fans are. They are waiting. They want to see Nico Iamaleava on the field sooner rather than later. I am very curious, from your vantage point, do you think Joe will work out? Have you seen enough to be like, I think Heupel just, his system is just too good now and too high of a floor where they're going to be a top 10 offense, even if Joe's kind of shaky, that the floor is so high because he's a top 10 offense machine over and over and over again? Or do you think there is a chance that there is a significant drop off from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton?
I will say, I would be a lot more worried if I didn't get to see Joe play against Clemson in the bowl game. And I had the unique opportunity and chance to watch Joe play 2 years ago during COVID when he was get that Joe was actually the original starter for Heupel and then got benched. And I remember Joe in 2020 mightily struggling with accuracy problems. And I know Tennessee fans remember that as well. And I think that is, like, if you're saying, hey, the biggest difference in their games, and maybe the one thing that Hendon thrived at was just being accurate and ball play. Complete 70% of your passes in the SEC at that level is stupid good. Yeah. And I don't think it got talked enough about. And a lot
more deep balls. It wasn't like he was only hitting intermediate stuff. Right. Like that was the thing. He's completing 70% of the passes, and Heupel takes deep shots.
And so I went back and looked at Joe's stats that year he started in 2020, the first couple games, and he had like 110 or 120 pass attempts. And he only completed like 55%, and that's just not going to cut it.
No.
SEC, you got to be far more accurate than that. And so I think that's the question for me is, and he looked good. It looked like he's improved on his accuracy against Clemson, played really well. And so I just go back to that. I go, man, if that's a glimpse of the new Joe Milton, I think Tennessee fans should be really encouraged about the growth that he's made over the past 2 years. And I think a lot of it is mechanical. I think a lot of it is just confidence in where guys are going to be now in this system. Year one, you're still kind of like, I think that's where the ball's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Now you're like, that's where it's supposed to go. And so I hope that, I think for Tennessee to win 10-plus games again, to win 11 games, or to even be able to push Georgia, I think they need Joe Milton. I think it's hard to expect a young freshman to come in and to thrive and be the guy in this conference, especially when you're going to see Alabama and Georgia on your schedule every year.
I agree. Well, there you go, Hutson. I tend to agree, and I think the biggest thing too is like, or maybe the most under-talked about thing with Heupel's scheme is that like they don't throw picks. Like you go through Dylan Gabriel, Hendon, even the Joe. Like Joe had 10 TDs, no picks last year in his appearances. Like guys just don't throw picks. He makes sure that like you are holding onto the ball. Like Tennessee is going to do well in the turnover margin. Like if you fumble, you're out. Like it's immediate. Like you missed an assignment. Like Dylan Sampson missed a block in the LSU game. True freshman, missed a block. Hendon got murdered. And that was it. We didn't see Dylan Sampson for weeks. Like that, you're out. Like that's a quick thing. You turn the ball over, Heupel won't allow it. Like he's an assassin that way. Like we're going to kill you with tempo, but also we're not going to turn the ball over. Like that's just not going to happen.
Great point.
Hutson, this has been great. I'm so grateful that you were able to make the time here tonight. This is a lot of fun. We can watch you on 680 The Fan. We can listen to you on 680 The Fan in the locker room every morning, 6 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. We got games coming up before you know it. Are you ready to hit the road again this fall?
Yeah, it's funny because from September to December, I travel every weekend, and by the end of college football, I'm like, I don't want to see an airport for a year.
Yeah.
And then I got my 8 months off from football, and then about this time, once July 4th is over, boy, the itch is just like. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm ready to travel again, ready to get back in stadium. So it's that time of year where